Shedeur Sanders was ranked as the 26th best quarterback in the 2021 college football recruiting class, so the 25 quarterbacks ranked higher than him now. Well, to start, just in front of him at number 25 is Demetrius Davis Jr. coming in at Houston, Texas, who committed to play for Auburn. And he never played at all for the Tigers, transferring to Alabama State, where he just also was not very good, and then transferred to UTSA this season, where he didn't throw a single pass. And coming in at 24 is Donovan McCulley, coming in at Indianapolis, Indiana, who committed to play for the Indiana Hoosiers. And at Indiana, he'd be converted to a wide receiver and had a great season there in 2023 with over 600 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns, as he was named a second-team All-Big Ten selection. After this, though, he didn't do much of anything in 2024 and just transferred to play for Michigan next season. And at number 23 is Gavin Wimsatt, coming in at Owensboro, Kentucky, who committed to play for Rutgers. And in his 3 years at Rutgers, he was a solid quarterback but never amazing, transferring to Kentucky this season, where he also was not great. And coming in at number 22 is Jake Rubley, coming in at West Des Moines, Iowa, who committed to play for Kansas State. And in his 2 years at Kansas State, he looked like a bust, not doing much of anything, and then transferred to Illinois State this season, where he also did not do much of anything. And at number 21 is Luke Altmaier, coming out of Starkville, Mississippi, who committed to play for Ole Miss. And he was a backup for the Rebels for 2 seasons before transferring to Illinois, where he's been a solid quarterback for the last 2 years and is coming back to the Fighting Illini for 2025. And cracking into the top 20 is Eli Stowers, coming into Denton, Texas, who committed to play for Texas A&M. And he never played there, transferring to New Mexico State, where he became converted to a tight end and had a solid season before transferring to Vanderbilt last year, where he was dominant, being a first-team All-SEC selection. He had over 600 receiving yards and is returning to the Commodores in 2025. And coming in at number 19 is Benron Morton, coming into Eastland, Texas, who committed to play for Texas Tech. And in his first 2 years there, he was a backup before taking over as a starter for the last 2 years and has been extremely good for the Red Raiders and is returning in 2025. And at number 18 is Carlos Del Rio Wilson, coming out of Cartersville, Georgia, who committed to play for Florida. And he never played at all for the Gators, transferring to Syracuse, where he was a complete bust, and then now currently is transferring to Marshall for 2025. And coming in at number 17 is Caden Salter, coming out of Cedar Hill, Texas, who committed to play for Tennessee. And he would actually be kicked off Tennessee's football team, transferring to Liberty, where he was an extremely good quarterback there for 4 seasons, being named the Conference USA Most Valuable Player. But after his 4 years at Liberty, he recently just transferred to play for Colorado next season. And at number 16 is Sawyer Robertson, coming out of Lubbock, Texas, who committed to play for Mississippi State. And he never really got to play at Mississippi State, transferring to Baylor, where he also sat for his first season, and then in 2024 took over as a starter, playing amazing. And cracking into the top 15 is Preston Stone, coming out of Dallas, Texas, who committed to play for SMU. And he was a backup his first 2 years there before in 2023 taking over as a starter and playing great, throwing for 3,000 passing yards and 28 touchdowns. After this, though, he was sadly the backup in 2024 and just transferred to Northwestern for next season. And coming in at number 14 is Garrett Nussmeier, coming out of Flower Mound, Texas, who committed to play for LSU. And he was a backup in his first 3 years at LSU before taking over as a starter in 2024, playing amazing, throwing for 4,000 passing yards, and is now expected to be the Heisman favorite for 2025. And at number 13 is Jalen Milroe, coming out of Katy, Texas, who committed to play for Alabama. And he didn't start there until 2023, but had 2 amazing seasons as the Crimson Tide starting quarterback, being one of the most athletic players in college football. And now he's expected to be a first-round pick in this year's NFL draft. And coming in at number 12 is Miller Moss, coming out of Mission Hills, California, who committed to play for USC. And he was the backup there for 3 years before taking over as a starter in 2024, but not having a great year and recently transferring to Louisville for next season. And at number 11 is Tyler Buckner, coming out of La Jolla, California, who committed to play for Notre Dame. And in his first 2 years of college football at Notre Dame, he didn't do much of anything, being the backup, transferring to Alabama, where he'd also be their backup in 2023, and then transferring back to Notre Dame to play on their lacrosse team. And after that, he walked on Notre Dame's football team to be a wide receiver, but didn't do much in 2024. And cracking into the top 10 is Jackson Dart, coming in at Draper, Utah, who committed to play for USC. And he had a solid freshman year at USC before transferring to Ole Miss in 2022, where he was truly amazing there for 3 seasons, being named a first-team All-SEC selection and winning the Connerly Trophy. And now Jackson Dart is expected to be a top 10 pick in this year's NFL draft. And coming in at number 9 is Drake May, coming out of Charlotte, North Carolina, who committed to play for North Carolina. And he was flat-out dominant in 3 years as North Carolina's quarterback, being named the ACC Player of the Year and a first-team All-ACC selection. And he would go on to be selected 3rd overall in the 2024 NFL Draft by the Patriots, who had a good rookie season, making the Pro Bowl. And at number 8 is Jake Garcia, coming out of Whitler, California, who committed to play for Miami. And he was a complete bust in his 2 years at Miami, transferring to Missouri, where he never played, and then transferring to East Carolina, where he was extremely bad this season. And coming in at number 7 is Ty Thompson, coming out of Gilbert, Arizona, who committed to play for Oregon. And in his 3 years at Oregon, he was only the backup quarterback, transferring to Tulane in 2024, where he also didn't do very much. And at number 6 is Kyle McCord, coming out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, who committed to play for Ohio State. And he didn't start until his 3rd year at Ohio State, where he was solid but was replaced, so he transferred to Syracuse this season, where he had a great year, being named a second-team All-ACC selection. And now he's expected to be drafted by the Steelers. And cracking into the top 5 is J.J. McCarthy, coming out of LaGrange Park, Illinois, who committed to play for Michigan. And in his 3 years at Michigan, he was flat-out dominant there, being named the Big Ten Quarterback of the Year and winning them a national championship. And this allowed him to be selected 10th overall in the 2024 NBA Draft by Minnesota, where he sadly missed his entire rookie season after tearing his meniscus. And coming in at number 4 is Brock Vandagriff, Vandegrift, coming out of Bogart, Georgia, who committed to play for Georgia. And in his 3 years there, he won 2 national championships, but was only a backup, transferring to Kentucky this season where he had a bad year and then retired from football. And cracking into the top 3 is Sam Hurd, coming out of Bellevue, Washington, who committed to play for the Washington Huskies. And he played 2 years with the Huskies where he was a backup quarterback before transferring to Cal Poly where he was solid, and then transferring to Utah this season where he didn't play. And now he has recently transferred to USC for 2025. And coming in at number 2 is Caleb Williams, coming out of Washington, D.C., who committed to play for Oklahoma. And he had a great freshman year with the Sooners before transferring to USC where he was flat out dominant there for 2 seasons, winning the Heisman Trophy and being named the AP College Football Player of the Year. And this allowed him to be selected first overall in the 2024 NFL Draft by the Chicago Bears where he had an extremely good rookie season. And at number 1 is Quinn Ewers, coming out of Southlake, Texas, who committed to play for Ohio State. And he never played at Ohio State, transferring to Texas where he was an extremely good quarterback there for 3 seasons, being named a second-team All-SEC selection, is now expected to be a top pick in this year's NFL Draft.